Welcome back to Not Snatched Sisters. It's just me again. Sorry. Megan is still under the weather. I miss her with every piece of my heart, but I have to let her heal. So we're not going to see her for a couple more weeks, I think, which makes my heart so sad, but also very glad that she's getting time to rest and take care of herself and, be with her boyfriend and her cats and just kind of heal. So, please everybody send Megan healing energy and healing thoughts. I miss her with all of my heart. I haven't hugged her in a couple of weeks. So, anyways, today we're going to talk about some hot drag race and other kinds of gossip because I'm here. I don't have my co-host and I'd like to talk about gossip again. The video from last week did pretty decently, so I thought, why not give you a little more of that? Okay. It's honestly been a really wild week for the Drag Race fandom, which maybe some of you already know. I think it was on Mistress Monday, we all woke up to a video from Mistress Isabelle Brooks. It was like a 15-minute video, kind of just like talking mad shit about Willam, which was, many people have talked shit about Willam, so it's not the first time somebody's been upset with Willam. I personally am both a Mistress Isabelle Brooks and a Willam fan, so this is the kind of, drama that I'm like, where's my popcorn? Ooh, so delicious. Which also, I always wonder when things like this happen, I'm like, are they like staging this? They're behind the scenes being like, okay, I'm gonna talk about you like this, you talk about me like this, and let's see what happens. Let's just get people fucking talking about us, because that's actually really smart, but probably also terrifying because then the whole world decides to like have an opinion about you, and that opinion might be really horrible. But I am fascinated and obsessed, and I think I might sit down. Anyways, so there is some delicious drag race drama that I am living for, as we have all seen. Mistress Isabelle Brooks posted a video on Monday that's like, Willam is garbage, Willam is, you know what, I'll just put some pieces of it right here.
Willam has had a self-proclaimed illustrious and amazing career. I honestly feel bad for him. Imagine holding on to a grudge for 13 years and your entire life and career revolving around a TV show and harassing the people involved with it. It's actually pathetic. Go check his Reddit page where he replies to every single thread ever made about him and goes on full-on rants discussing me with fans. Who does that, bitch? Why are you Googling yourself and why are you replying to yourself on Reddit? You're fucking weird. You were popular back in 2012 when I graduated middle school. But let's discuss where you're at now. The numbers don't lie, babe. The lines at DragCon do not lie. You're statistically irrelevant. Let's not compare apples to oranges and let's not try to compete where we don't compare. I can have a bad runway on Drag Race. I can have a bad look here and there. Bitch, your entire repertoire, your entire closet, your entire from A to Z chop. Bitch, you look the fool. But in reality, you're just a lame has-been social climber with your own separate agenda who has a bad habit of bringing people down with you. I do want to leave you with this, Willam. I have no issue with you. I have an issue with how you handle me and how you address me, and I want you to stop speaking about me in rooms that I'm not in.
And we all know that Willam and Mistress Isabelle Brooks are two of the biggest drag race villains, or whatever you want to. They're just two very loud individuals who aren't afraid to say what they're thinking. So to see that was kind of to like wake up to that Monday and be like, oh wow, Mistress is upset. So then of course Willam responds 2 days later with a video, and we get to see Alaska and Willam talk about the situation a little bit, which is hilarious. And the fact that there's like so much emotional like turbulence around like who asked who to be on whose show and who didn't show up to whose thing or who couldn't be there, or like who assumed that there wasn't any issue and there still was an issue. Like there's so much miscommunication, or so much just like little like it's just miscommunication. There's so much miscommunication that's like, is this actually real or is this all staged for views and likes? Because Mistress literally told us that she and Dawn planted a story about Mistress like being terrible to work with, and then Dawn and her were like, just kidding, that's not real, we wanted to see how you guys would react to that story, which of course it got picked up. And so I could totally see Mistress making up this shit, or Willam and her being like, okay, let's just come together and let's get a bunch of attention. I could totally see both of them doing that. So, and the videos being so, I mean, Mistress could have been sitting on hers for a minute, but then the immediate response, I was like, okay, this is really funny and also maybe a little bit staged. But who knows? Maybe they're actually upset with each other. Who knows? On the same episode, too, of Race Chasers, Alaska and Willem say they're like, open invites to Acid Betty to come talk more about the chakra paper dress situation. But it's so funny because you're like, I think Mistress was upset because initially why Mistress even made this video about Willem is because Willem talks about her a lot, I guess, is what she was saying. Like, there's a lot of Willem talk, but like, free publicity. Like, Willem is a massively famous drag queen, and that's also what something Mistress Isabel Brooks was like. Someone who used to get hundreds of thousands of views in the 2010s now is getting 10,000 views per video. Yeah, those videos were crazy. That was why the Mistress Monday video, I was like, what did Willem do? Apparently a lot. But then Willem's response. Oh my god, this part. This was on social media and this shit cracked me up.
And? What are you, girl? You went on the same TV show that I did, but you auditioned. They called me.
We were on the same show, but you auditioned. I was asked. I was like, I wonder if that's true. I wonder if Willem actually was asked to be on that show.
It's nice to know that they used to tell girls, well, they would send out my audition tape to girls when they said this is an example of a good audition tape. They sent mine in Manilas.
Because at this point, anything Mistress or Willem says, I'll always take with a grain of salt because we really don't know with either of these people just quite how honest they're being when they're on camera. Because when you're a drag queen, you're pretty much always in your persona, and obviously there's some queens who like are really comfortable stepping out of it, but like Mistress and Willem both are really constantly like in that element when they're on camera. So like, who knows which parts of these stories are actually true, what's embellished, what is like, made for the cameras. Because remember the season 15 reunion when like Irene confronted Lucy LaDuca and was like, Mistress told me that you said that my outfit or something was terrible, and Lucy was like, I didn't say that. And Mistress is like, I don't know what happened. Because Mistress is like a pathological liar, all she does is fucking lie. So it's hard to believe anything she says, but seeing Willem's response in we were on the same show, I was asked, you auditioned, and then the Race Chasers episode, like, it's like, oh, I don't think Willem's quite that mad about it. I think Willem's kind of probably like, well, thanks for the attention, babe.
She is mad. The fact that you wanted me to go work in your club in Houston right after you did this video, same day you asked if I was available. I'm not. I'm in Europe then. How heinous. I know you think that you live rent-free in my head, but girl, I have 2 mortgages. I have no time to lease out any headspace to you, other than when you're on TV and I'm talking about you. And somehow I got back to her that I talked about her getting kicked off of a Christmas tour or something. You shouldn't have gone on TV. You can't take a peek. Get out of the kitchen, girl. It looks like you've been out of the kitchen for a while, though. Malnourished. Lie all you want, but don't get mad when people call you out for lying and say you're not a sisterly person and they don't want you there because they don't trust you. In group chats and clubs, on tours, you're not on a Christmas tour because they didn't want you there, point blank. And a simple no. It's what RuPaul said to you when you tried to win that show twice. No, Mistress, these things when I say you're going to be around for a very long time and things like that, I mean your carbon footprint. Just trying to make it funny, what your talent show lacked. I haven't met you. I think I'm one of the lucky ones, actually. A flower doesn't worry about another flower blooming beside her, even if that other flower is a stink onion bloom. Bloom, Mistress, bloom. I think a has been is better than it never was. And you showing a picture of me and Lady Gaga together, thank you for reminding me of that wonderful success that I had, Mistress.
Like, I think maybe Mistresses might really be upset about something, which hopefully they can just talk it out and like have a little girl time, a little kiki, hopefully. Or just be villains forever. That's cool too, give us entertainment every year of them fighting with each other. That was wild though. That really I was like, seeing that on Monday, I was like, oh my god. And then getting to watch Willem's response, I was like, oh, this is so fun. This is so fun. Okay, so you know that there's that Roscoe's review show? What's the Roscoe's viewing party for Drag Race? And then they always have 1 or 2 of the queens there. And Roxy Andrews apparently said, I saw this on Race Chasers also, apparently said at Roscoe's that there's never really, or RuPaul never crowns Latina queens, except for Bianca Del Rio. But then Alaska was like, Ginger Minj is Latinx. And then I think Willem was like, so is Violet Chachki. But then they were like, I think she's thinking of, some of the bigger losses like Candy Muse and Jessica Wilde. So funny though. Roxy Andrews should get a crown though at some point. She really should do. She should do All Stars one more time. As long as Bosco's not in there, or Georges. That's who really should get a crown is Georges. Jeez Louise. Oh my goodness, what a fucking incredible performer. I can't wait for Georges' next All Stars because she's got to get the crown. Unless Roxy's there. You know what I think they should do? I think they should do a no white girl season or a no white people season of Drag Race. It should just be, and like in the US, like a main season. Not like, because there's obviously the Slasian Royale in the Philippines happening right now. And I really think they should do like a no white girl season. That'd be so beautiful. It's just black and brown and Asian girls. That'd be so fucking cool. That would be so fucking cool. Even an All-Stars like that, That'd be so fun. Just to really like make sure that a white person isn't being centered in the show. Just for at least for one whole season. One. I think it's a good idea. Did we all see that Laverne Cox has a new, like a podcast or something? But so then she went on her Instagram and did a live and talked about dating like a MAGA cop. Some stories are left for secret. As I'm getting older, I'm learning some things just should never be spoken out loud. Some things I shouldn't tell anybody about. Some things nobody needs to know about. Some things are all for me and for nobody else. And there are certain things that we do and it's like, okay, that was a mistake. Nobody gets to hear about that. Oh my God. Oh, it's so embarrassing. Some of the men that I've been with and I've had to cut off and yeah, it's embarrassing. I kind of feel for her because I've been in a similar situation where it's like, oh, I've never dated a Republican for that long or at all really. But there's been guys in my life who wanted to date me or I've been hooking up with who wanted to get closer who I'm like, oh, sweetie, I can't be that close to you. You are a conservative or a libertarian or what, and it's like, I'll never trust you. I'll never trust you. No. But I think, for Black women, I just never want to be judgmental or harsh because Black women are constantly having to face the intersection of misogyny and racism, and that is a nightmare. And so I can only imagine that for Laverne, probably being with a white cop probably made her feel safe. And I have no idea how unsafe she's felt, and I never will because I'm not a Black woman. So I don't want to hold her. I'm not going to unfollow Laverne Cox. I'm not going to comment or get involved beyond mentioning it happened. And also, you meet people and you date, and a lot of the time when you're a submissive trans woman, there's a lot of conservative men who are just hungry for a submissive woman in general. And as we all know, most men are into trans women, whether they'll admit it out loud or not. So that means most of these men who are conservative are going to be open to dating trans women privately at least, because then they can be with somebody who's intensely submissive sexually and emotionally. And it's kind of predatory. It is predatory. And it's one of the many reasons I won't ever date a man who isn't staunchly progressive or at least very liberal votes left, actively votes and votes left. We're in those times where if you're willing to dismantle democracy, I can't validate you with my body or with my time in any way, shape, or form. So inappropriate. So inappropriate. And that's the motherfucking tea about that. If you can't actively defend democracy, if you can't actively be the kind of man who wants to see women have access to any form of health care that they might need whenever they need it, if you're not the kind of man who defends BIPOC communities, if you're not the kind of man who defends women's rights to make equal wages to men, then you're not the kind of man who deserves to be anywhere near me. Ever. Ever. Anyways, the Drag Race gossip has been delicious. Thank you for listening to me. I have a little bit more here to tell you about. I'm heartbroken about Colbert being canceled. Wild that they would just cancel that whole show and not just replace him, but obviously they can't just replace him because he has the highest ratings in late night television. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna just scrap the whole program, which is wild. I think we all need to be very, very intensely focused about dismantling fascism, racism, misogyny at all cost, at all times. We cannot be allowing anybody to be lightly fascistic, lightly bigoted. It has to be nipped in the bud. It has to be attacked at all cost. And that means actively reminding men, no, I would never date a Republican. No, I would never date a libertarian. No, I would never date a man who didn't vote. No, I would never date an apolitical man. No, I would never date a man who is aggressively, actively religious. No. No. I actually really like being single and being available for the very progressive liberal men in Los Angeles who are dominant and athletic and not trying to own someone, but instead enjoy physical interactions with different people. That's what I like. That's what I need. Monogamy is overrated. It is not for me. It's for somebody else. I want some nails on, but also I don't. Well, there you have it. There's some recent hot gossip for me to share with you from the tales of the world. Thanks for being here.